former head of the National Security Council for Georgia and former head of the government administration. Thank you so much for being with us on the program today. We're hearing that the local population of where the referendums are taking place are boycotting the referendum. What do you think the outcome of the referenda will look like?
Thank you very much for having me. Well, I think the outcome is going to be that we're going to face the formal annexation of the occupied territories, what right now Russian Federation is having under their own control. The next step might be the declaration of war against Ukraine. I think we might be seeing these actions within the next couple of days. We might also see introducing of formal martial law in Russian Federation, which is largely unpopular, as we have seen practical protests in many directions of different parts of Russia. And at the end of the day, we might also see the formal general mobilization. In my understanding, I think all the up-mentioned steps, what might Russian Federation, in particular Mr. Putin, together with his entourage, might introduce, is very unpopular. And those are the very desperate, let's say, actions provided for this very moment from the Kremlin.
So basically you're saying we're going to see the same thing that happened in 2014 happen today with what happened to Crimea back in the day. Do you think, well, you made it clear that, annexation is quite inevitable at this point. How do you think that the West and Kyiv would respond to that situation, given that Kyiv has more support than it did in previous time?
In my understanding, I think nothing significant in practice for Kyiv, for official Kyiv, is changing. They have particular assignments for this very moment until the weather conditions will turn into a very, let's say, severe, we'll have some bad, let's say, practical results on the ground. They have to attack more and regain the control on different territorial segments. This is very clear assignment for Ukrainian government. I think for the West, it is also one another step forward, in my understanding, to unify the actions against Moscow. The recognition that we don't expect any sort of recognition of the newly annexed territories. However, we, in my understanding, should expect more consolidated actions by the West against Kremlin's action right now, what we face in the occupied territories. And in practice, It will mean more weapons and more political support to Kyiv, and hopefully West will stay unified. For today, I don't have any expectations. There might be some sort of like new trajectories of actions by the West. In my understanding, they have very clear vision how they need to act against Kremlin.
All right, Kakhaber Kemoklidze for us there live in Tbilisi. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing that analysis with us.
Thank you very much for having me.